Let's continue. We basically got our truck got hit, and then we still got our wallets. Cool. Start. A low mutter seeped into silence. Who's that? A prisoner transport vehicle with an unknown destination and a time bomb planted within. Then there was the forceful, one-sided guilty verdict with no rhyme or reason. Finally, a group of 6 criminals linked by a chain. Apprehension welled up inside me. Something dreadful was brewing. I hugged my own trembling body. Little did I know that this was the only beginning. This was the only beginning. You're kidding me. Getaway, Chapter 01. Okay. A blazing inferno illuminated the asphalt. The fire engulfing the van showed no signs of dying down, and for a while we could only watch it in daze. If we'd been one moment late, we would have been inside that fire. Even worse, what if the time bomb had exploded according to plan? We would have been roasted whole inside the van with no escape, just like the drivers. There was no way to survive a fire like this. Though they were gravely injured, I'd still left them to die. The guilt made bile rise into my throat, and I covered my mouth, the chain throttled. What's wrong? I was the only one who wanted to ask why she was so calm. When I looked, everyone but me was the picture of composure. Man, everybody's out of their minds here.
時刻は午後10時か。まずいな。まだ交通量がある時間だ。
逃げるったってどこへ行くんだ？ここは高速道路の上で、おまけに周囲には何もない。
ええ、他の車が通る前に急いでこの場を離れた方がいいでしょうね。
Finally he talks. A tug on my cuffs was followed by a spike of pain. Although annoyed by the linked handcuffs, everyone was in consensus about escaping together. Yet I didn't budge. Frank seemed irritated, glaring at me.
おい、いつまでそんなとこに座り込んでるつもりだ？早く逃げるぞ。
Oh, he's actually kinda cool when he's serious, Frank. Get out of here. I didn't understand how could they regain their composure so quickly. 2 people had just died in front of their eyes.
すぐに警察や消防が来るだろう。その前に逃げるんだ。
Police, instinctive relief washed over me at that word. Sure, I had ended up with a label of murderer because those strange agents in black had appeared, but that was abnormal. If I had an opportunity to talk to respectable police and not those agents, they might help me. Hope kindled in my heart.
警察が来るなら午後を待った方が。
おいおい、本気で言ってんのか？つくづくおめでたい頭してるな。犯罪者が保護してもらえるはずないだろう。
でもフランクさんは善良な一般市民。
ちょっと、この兄ちゃんの言い分信じるの？どう見ても犯罪者面じゃん。
今も一番逃げたそうな顔してるし、絶対警察に顔見られたらヤバい方の人でしょ。
You can't talk about him.
うるさい、2人とも今は黙ってろ。というかお前、ここへ来た時の扱いを忘れたのか？無実なのに逮捕されたって言うなら、なおさら警察が当てにならないって分かってるだろう。
That's true.
確かにそうですけど、違う人に話せば誤解もきっと。
警察ほど信用ならない奴はいないだろう。誤解？無実だ。それを証明する手段はどこにある？
He's being real.
大体犯罪者の言い分に耳を傾けるお人よしが警察にいるとでも思うのか？
でも逃げたら罪を認めることになってしまいます。フランクさんも無実なら堂々としていればいいじゃないですか。
馬鹿げてる。どうしてこんな目に遭っておきながら警察なんかを信用できるの？オーケー、分かったよ。殺人犯じゃないってのは認めてやる。こんなおめでたいやつに人を殺せるはずがない。だが今はその善良な一般市民ってやつをやめてくれ。こいつが外せない今のうちは。
Frank grabbed the chain that linked our cuffs, sneering at the nuisance. At least, Yeah, at least it's proven that she's not a murderer.
言っとくが、この手錠がなければお前なんてとっくに置き去りにしてるんだ。分かったら足手まといになるのもやめろ。
Ha. His eyes told me that he honestly wanted to leave an annoyance like me and run away by himself. He claimed to be innocent but wanted to run from the police. The driver's deaths didn't faze him. Though I didn't know his charges, he was surely a criminal. A criminal, that was why he wanted to run, meaning that if I followed, I'd be walking right to my ruin.
私は行きません。警察に保護を求めて、大使館と実家に連絡をして、弁護士を立てて無実を証明します。
はあ、そうさせてもらえる保証はどこにもないだろう。
それについては同感だ。おそらく連絡もできずに再び捕らえられて護送車で運ばれるのが関の山だ。
サリーもさすがにここは逃げた方がいいと思うよ。サリー捕まりたくないし。
そうですね。僕も爆弾魔という不名誉な名前のままで刑務所に入るのはごめんです。
でも人を見殺しにしたような人たちと一緒に逃げたくありません。
Huh.
見殺し？何の話だ？
Frank seemed serious. I was appalled. How could anyone forget?
護送車の運転手さんたちのことです。もしかしたら助けられたかもしれないじゃないですか。
おいおい、重傷だったって言っただろ。どうせ助からなかったに決まってる。そもそも俺たちを捕まえて刑務所に送ろうとしている奴らだ。どうして危険を冒してまで助ける必要がある？
でも
まあ気持ちもわからないでもないけどさ。でも事故が起こらなかったら今頃君は殺人罪で刑務所じゃん。ならこの偶然起きた事故をチャンスだと思って逃げなきゃ。
偶然起きた事故か。本当に偶然ならいいがな。
アッシュ君が喋った。
今の事故は偶然じゃない。お前もそう思うか？
ああ、この見通しのいい高速道路で横転だなんて明らかに不自然だ。他に事故に巻き込まれた車もない。運転席にいたのは2人。居眠り運転の線はないだろう。
確かに横転する前に一度爆発のような音もしましたね。いや、あれは爆薬の音ではなかったような気もします。
どこかから狙撃されたのかもしれないな。その上あの時限爆弾だ。仕組まれた事故の可能性も否定できない。
そういうわけだ。納得したかいお嬢ちゃん。刑務所へ向かうはずの護送車が狙撃された。しかもその車には爆弾がついていた。どこに警察を信用する要素がある？
I kinda like this guy.
なんなら俺らをまとめて秘密裏に消すために逮捕したって可能性もあるんだぜ。警察か。警察と繋がった誰かがさ。
それは確かに。
I got where they were coming from. At the same time, I felt that if I ran, I'd become a real criminal. Oh, what do I do? I could wait for an opening to flee to the embassy.
あっちから車来てるじゃん。早く逃げないとまずいって。
Hearing that, I raised my face to see a car pull to stop on the opposite side of the road.
おい、すごい事故が起きてるぞ。
ちょっと通報した方がいいんじゃない？
Gradually, more and more cars began pulling over to gawk. In the distance, I heard police sirens.
行くぞ。
As if declaring a conversation over, Gib hoisted the bag of belongings over his shoulder and began walking.
ああ、そのカバンサリーの PC も入ってるんだから乱暴にしないでよね。
っていうか腹減った。なんか食べ物入ってないの？
That's right, let's get something to eat.
さすがに入ってないと思いますが。
お前たち歩く時ぐらい静かにしてくれ。ジュニアスクールじゃないんだぞ。
Even while voicing grievances, everyone trudged forward, feeling a tug. I looked up. Ash, a little ahead, looked back at me.
行くぞ。
He stared, his eyes like a wolf's, aloof but fierce, waiting for me. I wasn't running away. No, this was necessary to prove my innocence in the future. That was what I told myself as I took a step forward. Well, we ran anyways. Parma outskirts. Our footsteps echoed on the night road. Once we left the highway, we ran with everything we had to avoid discovery, unfortunately.
ちょっと姉ちゃん、もう少し早く走れない？
たく、お上品に歩いてるんじゃねえよ。
I know, but it's not like it can change now. That's true. A combination of midi dress and a pair of heels meant I was lagging behind the others. And even if I were wearing sneakers, ordering me to keep up with fit adult men was absurd. I honestly wanted them to leave me behind at this point, but our cuffs didn't allow the possibility.
で、僕たち今どこに向かってんの？
ひとまず隠れられる場所を探すぞ。この格好は目立つし、長距離を移動すればそれだけ誰かに目撃されるリスクが増えるからな。
隠れられる場所ですか。山奥の洞窟とかですか。
山が近くにあるように見えるか？
警察犬がいれば真っ先に見つかるだろうな。
じゃあ、あそこら辺にある家に忍び込むとか？うまくいけば屋根裏とか入れるんじゃね？
忍び込むなんてダメだよ。お願いして泊まらせてもらおうよ。
手錠で繋がれたこのいでたちでか？速攻通報されておしまいだろ。空き家ならいいかもしれないけどな。
だが廃屋や長らく使われていないような建物は警察が真っ先に捜索するだろうな。
ならちょうど留守にしている家を狙うか。
Targets. We'd be no different from burglars. In contrast to my paling face, everyone else nodded as this was the natural course of action. They seemed so calm that I became overwhelmed with regret. Maybe following them had been a mistake after all. No choice. Suddenly, Ash's head whipped up. He fixed his glare at something ahead of us on the dark
遠
road.
くから車の音がする。隠れた方がいい。
車の音？
人目につくと厄介だ。そろそろ道を外れるぞ。
Gib, who was in the lead, stepped over a guardrail to get off the road. I tried to follow his example, but as I tried to jump over, the hem of my dress got caught in the guardrail and ripped. As if that wasn't enough, the torn section remained stuck on a screw. I couldn't move. It wouldn't come off. It won't come off. I tried all kinds of methods to free myself, but as I grew frantic, the scrap of cloth only became harder to pull out.
おい、早くしてくれよ。
Help me out then.
ちょっとまずいよ。マジで車の音聞こえてきたし、こんな大勢でいるとこ人に見られちゃ目撃情報になっちゃうって。
You got scissors, anyone?
お姉ちゃん頑張って。
With everyone's encouragement, I gave another pull with all my might, but the cloth refused to budge. Help! Perhaps out of patience, Ash sighed and walked up to me. I winced, but...
嘘。
My mid-length skirt transformed into a miniskirt in the blink of an eye. A bit later, I realized that Ash had torn off a big swath of the ripped fabric with his hands. You can run now.
これなら走れる。
I don't know. Thank you. There must have been another. You didn't have to tear off this. I don't know. You didn't have to tear off this much.
こんなに破らなくても引っかかったところだけ切ればよかったのでは。
邪魔だ。
It's a nuisance.
そんな長いスカートのままじゃ逃げられない。そのくらい考えろ。
He was right. Then again, I hadn't chosen the outfit knowing that I'd be dragged into a dramatic escape, so it was unavoidable. It seemed that Ash had shortened my dress out of consideration. Still, I couldn't help but feel that there had been better alternatives. But he technically did it for my sake, right? I gave him the benefit of the doubt and left it at that.
それよりこれを残していったら警察側の手がかりになると思うが。
Oh, he's right. Ash glanced at the cloth still stuck on the guardrail and knitted his brows together, disgruntled. He placed a foot on the rail. With a single strong swipe, he forcefully tore off the remaining cloth. Only a few threads and scraps were left dangling.
この程度なら目立たないだろ
う。まあ、確かにこれなら気づくのに時間がかかるだろうな。
You didn't need to rip my skirt then.
あとはあちらさんに警察犬がいないことを祈るしかないな。
ま、証拠品もこっち側にあるし、匂いの元がないから大丈夫っしょ。
それより最初からこうやってスカート取ればよかったんじゃない？
でもこれでお上品なお嬢さんの走りが速くなったことだけは確かだろう。
急ぐぞ。足手まといにはなる
Ash
な。
shoved the cloth into my hands before turning into run again. Under the pull of my handcuffs, I followed him, and just like Frank said, it was easier to run. Ash probably did that because he got annoyed at me for being so slow and getting stuck, but when I touched his hand for a brief moment, the feelings I saw were of concern and apology. Huh. Was that his roundabout way of being considerate towards my struggles? Of course, his means were problematic in their own way. But I was running with criminals, my back turned to the law, and learning someone felt concern for me was a dim light of hope in these bleak hours. Ah. We used the utmost caution as we ran, taking care so cars and passerbys won't spot us. Being chained together meant any movement was a chore, but we did our best to remain vigilant. Between my long questioning, the tiring van ride, and the heavy handcuffs, I was exhausted. Our path was hard to navigate and it was only getting darker. As time passed, I gradually lost track of where I was walking. Losing my focus cost me. I walked off the path and stepped into a thicket. The tug of my wrist snapped me out of it.
おいおい、茂みに突っ込んだりして寝ぼけてんのか？手錠で繋がってることを忘れられたら困る。って、おいお前ら、こいつを見てみろよ。
Look at what? When I raised my... Oh, hey, isn't this the place that Hartfield last talked to his... Well, you know, like Eliza. Yeah. When I raised my head, I was faced with the sight of a relatively large house.
こんなところに家があったのか。うまく木立に隠れて見えなかったな。
The others who turned to catch up with me widened their eyes as it came into view.
この家かわいい。ここにしようよ。お姉ちゃんも気に入ったみたいだし。
I guess so.
いえ、私はそういうわけでは。
いいんじゃね。人の気配はないみたいだし、空き家ってほど人が出入りしてない雰囲気でもねえし。
そうだな。庭を見る限りそれなりに手入れもされている。空き家ではないから警察の捜索対象には入りづらそうだ。
How are you guys sure that
他
there's
の
no
家
one
と
in
も
there?
適度に距離が開いていますし、音でバレることもなさそうです。良さそうですね。
じゃあ決まりだな。今夜はここにチェックインと行こう。はい、ドアボーイ。頼んだぜ。
ウィムッシュ。
Frank fished out what seemed to be a picking tool from the bag of our belongings and tossed it to Rami. Despite his handcuffs, the youth nimbly picked the house lock in no time, as if he were using a normal key.
ようこそ、逃亡者ご一行様。ごゆっくりおくつろぎください。
I guess ladies are not fugitives. Rami opened the door with playful politeness, and just like that, we stepped into the bounds of the vacation villa. Vacation villa? Hey, nice place. Let's hope it's not dusty.
水も出るようだ。
お、この棚の中、缶詰に瓶詰の保存食もあるじゃん。これだけありゃ数日は持ちそうだな。
Perfect.
サリー、ベリーパイが食べたい。
上等なスコッチもあるじゃないか。さすがは別荘なだけあるな。
Everyone began riffling through the room without a second thought, and I could only watch dumbfounded. Trespassing and burglarizing an empty home, now I was a criminal through and through. I wish I could have avoided intruding, but I knew that I depleted too much stamina to keep running. It should be salvageable. I just need to make sure to come back and compensate the owners later on.
にしても、金目のものはなさそうだな。
別荘のようですからね。生活感もあまりありませんし、最低限週末に過ごすものしか置いてないのでしょう。
As long as I come back to compensate.
でもこのグラスとかボヘミアンのヴィンテージだし、持っていくところに行けば結構な額になるよ。
そいつは裁くのが面倒だな。現金があるのが一番いいんだが。
今時家に現金置くやつなんていないって。
I thought that if we were only borrowing this house to hide and keep damages to minimum, it was borderline acceptable. But now I knew that I'd been naive. These people were criminals. They didn't have any qualms about theft.
家探しは後にして、まずは こいつをなんとかしよう。ラミ、外せるか？
Gib raised the handcuffs, fettering us, but Rami shook his head with a solemn frown.
それが結構厳しそうなんだよな。
Really?
道具があればすぐに開けられるって言ってなかったか？世紀の大怪盗様。
そりゃ普通の鍵ならね。でも見てよ。これ鍵穴がないんだよ。
本当だ。
電子ロック式の手錠だ。これじゃ開けられない。僕はクラシックタイプの怪盗なんだよ。ハイテク機材は専門外ってね。
Well, let's get the girl then.
ならハッカーの出番か？
Time for the hacker to shine.
サリーには無理だよ。
Sally.
物理方面は専門外だもん。
Huh.
しかし鍵穴がない電子ロック式の手錠なんてこれまで見たことがないな。少なくとも警察が使う手錠にはないはずだが。
They're not from the police then.
それよりこの鎖だけでも切断しようぜ。むさ苦しい男どもといつまでもお手で繋いでるなんてゾッとしないだろ。
でも切断ってどうやるの？
ガレージに行けば工具ぐらいあるはずだ。
そうだな。覗いてみよう。
Let's go to the garage. Hey, those are some useful looking tools. We moved as a group. Inside the garage, we found a car and a motorcycle, both covered with sheets. How do you know they're oh.
ボルトクリッパーでもあれば切れるはずだ。探すぞ。
Let's find a clipper. Ash and Gibbs searched through the garage cabinets as a pair, while Rami investigated alone. Before long, Rami discovered a tool that fit the description.
お、これじゃね？
貸せ。
Ash snatched the tool from Rami and easily snapped the chains on his handcuffs. He made quick work of the chain connecting him to the others before cutting the links between his cuffs. He was very proficient. Maybe he used to work in a job that used tools, but he said he was arrested for assault. All kinds of conjectures came to mind, but I hurriedly shook them away. Huh.
ってアッシュの兄貴、自分のしか切らねえの？
自分でやれ。
The moment his hands were free, Ash thrust the tool at Frank and resumed his hunt in the garage.
やれやれ、サービスがなってないね。ま、穴から期待しちゃいないが。
Though they voiced their complaints, everyone easily severed their chains with the tools just like Ash. No one fumbled or hesitated, making me feel even more out of place.
はい、どうぞ。
ありがとうございます。
My turn came around. I accepted the tool and tried mimicking their motions to cut my chains. However, my fettered hands weren't up to such a demanding task, and I'd accidentally dropped the bolt cutters.
お姉ちゃん大丈夫
Help me, Sally! I picked up the tool and strenuously tried to cut the chain between me and Sally. But no matter how I tried to mimic the others, the chains resisted. My heart beat hard with anxiety as I fought the uphill battle. Why was this happening? The others had managed it easily. Help! That was when Ash, who'd been riffling through the garage cabinets, sighed and approached me. He took the tool out of my hands. He cut the chains one by one, first the part that connected Sally and me, and then the link between my hands.
ありがとうございます。
Ash didn't offer a single word. He silently handed the bolt cutters to Sally before returning to his investigation once again.
ちょっとサリーの鎖は切ってくれないのって無視お姉ちゃんだけひいきとかずるいじゃんもう仕方ないな
Sally grumbled under her breath as she skillfully handled the tool. Either out of experience or surprising amount of strength, Sally cut her smoothly. I was the only one who'd failed.
すっきりした
Sally's amazing. She
し
amazing.
かし自由になったのはいいですが、このままというのはなんだか落ち着きませんね。
Camus stroked his wrists as he looked around. Though we'd been freed from the connecting chain, the main cuffs still coiled around our wrists.
これでこするとかどう？
Saw
さ
through.
っき試したが傷一つつかなかった。こっちの工具でもダメだ。
The first ones to cut their chains had already attempted to destroy the cuffs in a variety of ways. But just like Ash said, there was no visible damage on any of their handcuffs.
一般的な工具では歯が立たない素材のようだな。
What kind of metal is it?
こうではあるが、我慢するしかないだろう。
やれやれ。仲良くお揃いのブレスレットとは、こいつはありがたくって泣けてくるね。
はあ、これが鍵穴のあるやつならな。大怪盗の出番だってのに。
Once we saw that attempts to remove the handcuffs were futile, we dumped the tools and returned to the house. Faced with the sight of the scattered tools on the ground, I let out a small sigh. The situation went beyond repair the moment we barged in, but at the very least I wanted to clean up. I'm glad we managed to get rid of the chain, though. I'd finally been released from my uncomfortable constraints. It was a small consolation. After quickly tidying up the garage, I followed the others inside. We family. What? Once again, I could only stand in shock, stunned at the scene that welcomed me. One person was rummaging through every single cabinet while another was watching the news, drinking scotch on the sofa. A group was raiding the fridge. These people lounged freely as if it was their own home. They didn't seem to have any consideration for the absent owners.
腹減った。冷蔵庫になんかすぐ食べられるもん入ってないかな。
Get me something as well.
見たところ冷凍野菜ばかりのようですね。調理をしないと食べられそうにありませんが。
ってうわ、冷凍のクロワッサンある。こういうのフランスの食文化に対する冒涜だと思うんだよね。
France, huh?
クロワッサンってイタリアのパンじゃないの？
いや、フランスだよ。だってクロワッサンってフランス語じゃん。
Croissant, huh?
でも普通にイタリアに売ってるし。
いや、クロワッサンは完璧にフランスだからな。
ウィーンが発祥の地だと聞いたこともありますが。
それは絶対違う。
As they bantered boisterously, Rami and Sally picked fruit from the fridge and cabinets before lining it up on the table. While I was frozen wondering whether I should stop them, they finished preparing dinner before I knew it. And then the scattered group assembled around the dining table, lured by the delectable aroma.
レンジで解凍したブリオッシュにチーズとナッツか。ま、逃亡中の飯にしちゃ上等だな。
文句言うなら自分で探してよね。
はあ、カフェオレ飲みたいな。
サラダも食べたいですが、この状況では仕方ないですね。
Salad, I agree on.
ってお姉ちゃんどうしたの？食べないの
？Eat, Mika. I honestly couldn't bring myself to eat the food in someone else's house boldly like them.
泥棒のようで気になるか？
泥棒のようというか、泥棒ですよね。
そうだよ、泥棒だよ。でもさ、盗んだものだろうが自分で買ったものだろうが、お腹が空いた時にご飯が食べられるなんて、それだけで幸せだと思わない？
サリーもそう思う。お腹が空いたらご飯を食べる。ご飯を食べたらお腹がすく。これ人生の基本だよ。
それだと食べてばかりのような。
I understood their point, but understanding in my head was different from tolerating it in my heart. Seeing that I still refused to sit, Gibb sighed.
気持ちはわかるが、その心持ちでは、いざという時の動きに迷いが生じる。もう逃亡犯なのだと受け入れた方がいい。
Okay, I'm a fugitive. Oh, what is that? I can't bring myself to say more. I can't say you all are the ones in the wrong. I can't bring myself to say more. I don't know. I don't know. You are all the ones. I can't bring myself to sin more.
だからといって罪を重ねる気にはなれません。
I was determined to prove my innocence. Committing crimes during that process would defeat the purpose. For now, I was only borrowing this space to avoid my unjust pursuers. I wanted to keep my sins to the bare minimum. That was how I felt right now. Hearing that, Gibb lightly shrugged his shoulders.
無事に逃げ切る以上に重要なことがあるなら、そうすればいい。結局は君自身の人生だ。強要するつもりはない。
いや、 僕は強要するよ。
Remy seemed livid. He stood up, pushed me by the shoulders, and forced me to sit at the table.
人間は食べないといつか死ぬんだ。お腹が空いてて、食べ物が目の前にあって、それでも食べないなんていう贅沢なわがまま。僕は絶対認めたくないから。
What happened to you, Remy?
だからミカ、君も食べなくちゃダメだ。
Remy offered a brioche to me. The smell of the butter wafted over. Remy's stern gaze fixed on me. I buckled under the pressure and accepted it.
わかりました。
The moment I touched a brioche, the guilt crushed me, but this was the first and last time I would steal, and I'd definitely repay the owners one day. Just as I decided to try my best to eat despite the berating of my conscience, Ash, who sat across me, cut me with his glare.
そうやって流されているだけの人生は楽か。護送車から逃げたのも、この家に押し入ったのも、そのパンを食べたのも、自分の意思じゃないというつもりだろう。ただ状況に流されただけだから仕方ない。自分から悪いことをしたわけじゃない。そう思えば気が楽なのか？
Does telling yourself that make you feel better? He'd hit a sore spot. I was speechless. That's right. Mika so far decided nothing on her own, yeah? Because he was right, a part of me figured that I couldn't reject the bread once Remy had offered it. But really, I'd taken it due to my unbearable hunger. I couldn't forgive myself and I tried to find excuses. Ash had seen right through me.
ちょっとアッシュくん、せっかくお姉ちゃんが食べようとしてたのに、なんでその雰囲気を壊すようなこと言うのかな。ほんと犯罪者ってデリカシーがないし、協調性なさすぎ。お姉ちゃん、こんなの無視だよ、無視。
But you're a criminal too.
いや、あなたも犯罪者だったような。
Though Sally defended me, Ash was completely right. I had to take responsibility for my own actions. I couldn't forget that these were choices I'd made. And so I sank my teeth into the bread.
おいしい。
The brioche was delight, melting away my hunger and warming my empty stomach. I also took small bites of the cheese, and not seeing that, Remy gave a toothy grin.
な、やっぱ食べるのが一番だって。
I'm grateful for your kindness. Thanks, Rem. Sorry for being so stubborn. I don't know. Grateful. Thanks, Ram.
ありがとう。
He was so friendly that I caught myself giving him a nickname without thinking much of it. It was rude of me since we'd only just met.
ごめんなさい。ありがとうございました。ラミーさん。
いや、言い直さなくてもいいから。見た感じ年もあんまり変わらないだろうし、ラミー君の方が僕は嬉しいかな。
そうなんですか？
あと、その丁寧な言い方もいらないから。なんだか落ち着かなくてさ。
そうそう、ラミーくんなんてただのガキなんだから、気を使わなくていいって、お姉ちゃん。
いや、お前は少し僕に気を使った方がいいと思うけど。